We're not buying anything for the holidays this year in my family. We're putting all our money towards, frontline activists and artists and institutions, and we're not buying anything. We don't need anything. We have everything.
Good evening. I'm Eliana Ulloa, and I am the president of the Emerson College Skin Tones. On behalf of Emerson College's Office of Intercultural Student Affairs, the Social Justice Centers, Flawless Brown Artist Collective for Self-Identifying Women of Color, and Arts Emerson, I would like to welcome you to the live taping of Adrienne Marie Brown and Autumn Brown's How to Survive the End of the World podcast featuring special guest Toshi Reagon. Yeah. We are excited to be joined today by three special guests. Adrienne Marie Brown is the author of Pleasure Activism, The Politics of Feeling Good, and Emergent Strategy, Shaping Change, Changing Worlds. Yeah. She is a writer, a social justice facilitator, pleasure activist, healer, and doula living in Detroit. Autumn Brown is a mother, organizer, theologian, artist, and facilitator. Autumn brings over 10 years of experience facilitating organizational and strategic development with community-based and movement organizations and training organizers in consensus process, facilitation, and racial justice. And last but not least, we have the incomparable singer, songwriter, and musician Toshi Reagon, who has been a mainstay in the entertainment and music industry for more than 30 years. Toshi is considered a one-woman celebration of all that's dynamic, progressive, and uplifting in American music. Reagon's musical adaptation with her mother, Bernice Johnson Reagon, of the sci-fi Afrofuturist masterpiece Octavia E. Butler's Parable of the Sower brings together over 30 original musical anthems and requiems drawn from 200 years of Black music. Next, we're going to have a selection by my homies, the Skin Tones, who are an a cappella group comprised of Emerson students of color that seeks to elevate their voices by singing the music of only people of color. Come on in.
I do my hair toss, check my nails, baby, how you feeling? Hair toss, check my nails, baby, how you feeling? Woo, child, tired of the bull, go and dust your shoulders off, keep it moving, yes, Lord, trying to get some new in their swimwear, going to the pool, come now, come dry your eyes, you know you're a star, you can touch the sky, I know that it's hard, but you have to try, if you need advice, let me simplify. If he don't love you anymore, then walk your fine ass out the door. I do my hair toss, check my nails, baby, how you feeling? Hair toss, check my nails, baby, how you feeling? Feeling good as hell. Baby, how you feeling? Woo, girl, need to kick out the shoes. Time to take a deep breath, time to focus on you. All the big fights, long nights that you've been through. I got a bottle of tequila I've been saving for you. Boss up and change your life. You can have it all, don't sacrifice. I know we did you wrong, we can make it right. So go and let it all hang out tonight. He don't love you anymore. So walk your fine ass out the door. And do your hair toss, check my nails. Baby, how you feeling? Hair toss, check my nails. Baby, how you feeling? Feeling good as hell. Baby, how you feeling? Cause he don't love you anymore. So walk your fine ass out the
Fans of the podcast How to Survive the End of the World already know that creators Autumn Brown and Adrienne Marie Brown are both writers, activists, and facilitators who provide a guide on how to navigate and survive the world with grace, rigor, and curiosity. Please join me in welcoming Autumn Brown and Adrienne Marie Brown to the stage. Toshi Reagon, everyone. All right.
Hi. Welcome.
There's people here.
I know.
That's always exciting. This is our friend Toshi. She's kind of famous. You're a little bit famous.
Oh my God, her
Toshi.
parents are here.
Where are they? Do you see them?
They're right there.
Parents.
Mm-hmm. And my beloved is here. They're right
Beloved?
there. Oh my God.
You're beloved. Not to get confused.
Yeah.
I love you too.
Yeah.
Obviously.
It's all love.
Hi, Toshi. Anything you want to say to welcome yourself to the peoples?
Hello, everyone.
So, the other things to know about Toshi is Toshi, on the podcast interview that we did with her, broke down for everyone the only correct approach to the electoral process. So if you missed it, go back and listen. If you have any friends who are confused about, like, how do I engage? What do I do? They should just listen to it, and that's the right way. So as I said, I'm a Virgo, so rightness is my thing. And that's important to know. So, yeah. Do you want to ask a question? We have, basically what we're going to do is ask some questions and have some conversations up here. And then at some point we'll have you all talk to each other a little bit. And then we'll do it all together. Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, exciting.
Yeah. Be ready for participation.
Yeah, but not like too much, just like gentle.
Yeah. And we'll give guidance also on how to participate.
Yeah, the year's almost over.
You won't
so-
have to make it up.
Yeah. Cool.
So I think the question that we wanted to start with is, so it's December 2019. It's almost 2020, which is hard to believe.
A whole new decade.
Literally, we're living in the future.
Yes.
And we wanted to begin with a question, first for you, Toshi, about what is your good news here at the end of the decade?
Ooh, so much good news. Doing a parable opera, people come up to me all the time and say, we're in the time of parable, kind of, all is lost, we're in the time, oh my God, it's happening.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, did you just get in a car with a stranger that you called to your door through an app? Did someone you don't know, deliver dinner because you were hungry through an app? Did you walk outside and go to the corner and do something? I just all these things.
Are you on a date because
Are
of
you
an
on a
app?
date?
Because of an app.
I mean, there is parable conditions all over, the worst of parable of the sower conditions all over the planet. But if you are not in those conditions, it is excellent, not just good news. And actually, you are not to bend energetically into the idea that it is going to happen to you. You have to bend in the other direction, and it is your job to rescue and save everybody else on the earth. Not so much applause about that, but it is the only way that you will exist. And your children
Right.
will exist,
Right.
and flowers will exist, and trees will exist, and water will exist. You have one job, bend out of the idea,
Yes.
and use everything you have. And I'm happy to say I know so many people who are with gusto taking on that as a way to live their lives into the next decade, and that is good news.
That is very good news.
That's such good news. Ain't that good news? Ain't that good news?
All right.
What about you, Autumn? What's your good news at the end of this decade?
What is my good news? I think my good news that I'm here to share is that liberation is possible. I feel like this year gave me kind of a new sympathy for climate change deniers. Because it is very easy to be in denial about the actual conditions of your life.
Yes, it is.
Because it can be very overwhelming to actually have to acknowledge the actual conditions of your life.
Yeah.
And I feel like in many ways over the last few years, I was like a climate change denier about the conditions of my own life. Like there's like a forest burning all around me, and I'm like, no, there's no forest burning around me. And also I live here, so I'm not leaving. And
That's right.
And when I turned and confronted the actual conditions of my life, it became very clear to me what the path was towards health and wellness and freedom. And it's interesting because going through what I've gone through over the last year, a lot of people in my life have reflected back to me how brave I am. And one of the things that felt really clear to me as I was making choices, like moving myself towards liberation, changing my life, was that like bravery is the thing that we do when no other choice even appears obvious to us. That the thing that we're doing is the only thing that appears to be the obvious right choice, or the obvious next move. And that for me felt like the liberatory path was making the only right choice. And I feel like a completely different person going into the next decade. And it's been very beautiful for me. So I just wanted to like share that with all of you and share that with y'all, that like it actually is possible inside our lives and inside the world that we live in.
I love that.
Yeah. What's your good news at the end of this decade?
Well, I wanted to say it's been so good to live inside the arcs of both of your good newses. Like, I feel like I can't believe that like at the beginning of this decade, for me, there was no opera, right? There was just like the books and the prayer of a film, you know, like I hadn't imagined beyond that. And to now get to live in a world where like this thing that I love and worship and keep returning to, this text that feels so important that everyone knows, is now coming into the world in a new way. I'm like, oof, I'm so grateful to live in that world, that reality. And
The time of the parable opera.
the time of the parable of the opera.
The parable of the opera.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Parable of the Opera.
Sure.
Let's do it.
That was
And
the
then-
third book. It wasn't.
And then I feel like watching you go through your liberation process has been a great gift to me as well. You know, I feel like when you're related to someone who is going through liberation, it means that everything must change, right? And so I feel like it dusts off everything, you know, like everything gets shaken up. So thank y'all for living into the good news that has been coming to you. I feel like my good news is like satisfaction is medicinal, something like that. I've been in this period of immense satisfaction in my life, and I'm 41. This year I turned 41.
Look at all that 41.
Look at all this 41, honey. I work hard for this 41, you know?
Yeah, you did.
I worked hard for each of these years. I can feel that in me, but I know, I also am like, oh, and there's more to come. But I feel so much satisfaction at this moment. And I think the way that I've been socialized a lot of times is you don't focus on your satisfaction. You focus on what you don't have yet, how hard everything is, how tired you are, how dusty you are, how bad the day was. You know, it's just sort of like, oh, someday I'm going to get somewhere else, right? Like I feel like so many people are oriented towards some other time when things will be good.
Yeah.
And for me, it has felt very important to be like, I'm a black, fat, queer woman who is happy now, today. And it's so beautiful to, you know, I interact with kids that way, like, hey, I love you, and I'm happy, and I love me. And that's very important. It feels like all of the things in my post-apocalyptic vision are based in children getting to see happy, fat black women. Somehow
Yes.
it's all connected.
Yes, it is all connected.
It's all connected.
That is the life force
Yes.
through which everything comes.
I think so. But, I feel like professionally, personally, I feel like I'm well loved. I feel like I have written things that I'm like, I feel good about it. It's not, like, there's also that part where the satisfaction, because it's hard. It's hard to complete something, enough that you're like, good enough, right? And I feel like I've done work that I'm like, good enough. I'm satisfied.
Yeah.
So now I'm about to head on sabbatical, December 12th. And, and it's exciting to me to also be like, okay, what is the next thing that wants to arise? But I feel like often dreams or longings arise from dissatisfaction. And I'm really curious about the idea of having a longing arise in me from a place of satisfaction. Like, okay, as a satisfied person, what do I long to now bring forth? Or what do I want to let come through?
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going to be, but I'm curious and interested. So I brought this tarot deck. This is a new tarot deck. It's called Modern Witch Tarot. So cute.
For the modern witches
For
out
the
there.
modern witches out there. No dusty witches. Okay.
Wow.
I don't know why dusty is just like available
This
to me right
theme
now.
is going to go into the title of the show.
So we thought it would be nice to pull a card now for 2019 and this decade behind us, right? A past card. What are we leaving behind? Is that baited? Ooh. Well, we are leaving behind the Six of Swords. Can you hold that up?
Ooh.
I'll read this. That is a very... What does it mean? All right, so this is what's behind us. You're going to need to make a difficult choice, one that might feel painful and almost impossible. However, you know deep down that this is the best path forward. It's definitely going to be rough waters for a while, and your emotions may fight you. But logic tells you this is what you need to do. Be well as you walk forward into the unknown.
What?
Wow, that's good.
Does that resonate?
I know, I'm like, we gotta keep, I was like, we're still in the unknown now, y'all. So, but that's what was behind us. We got to the unknown.
We made the hard choice.
We made the hard choice. Did y'all make a hard choice this past decade? All right, so
We're hearing
later,
a lot of like sucking of teeth, so I think yes.
Later, maybe we'll pull a card for what's coming. We'll see if we're ready for all that. All right, beautiful.
Thank you, Adrienne.
Yeah,
That
thank
was
you.
great.
Also, your child just texted me. That's
Really?
a good
What did she
sign.
say?
They said hi.
Oh, that child. Okay. I have
say
three.
hi back.
See, I got my children phones a couple of months ago, and they have now just started. They will only text other people.
Me, they text
They
me mostly.
They won't text or call me. So.
But they love you so much.
They do love me. I know that they love
often text me like, "Are you with my mom?" So
It's like, you could just text me. Anyway. So, Toshi, we wanted to engage you a little bit around the opera, and particularly thinking about your time here at Emerson. You're in residency here for the next year and a half, and I really experience you as one of the great teachers of our time. That you teach through song, you teach through writing, you teach through presence, the way that you hold space while you're performing, and also just the way you hold space in any room. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about how you are interpreting Octavia Butler's work as a teaching tool for our time. What do you hope to awaken in people as a part of the process of engaging with her work in this way?
Thank you. I think one of the first times we did the opera, it was the U.S. debut. It was at University of North Carolina by Carolina Performing Arts. And before we did that, they gave me a fellowship. And the fellowship was called the Still Fellowship. And it was, I was supposed to meet a faculty person, and the faculty person would then think about, from their work, how they would like to engage the community that they were in, and then through the vehicle of art, maybe we could do some communication. And one of the things was, you have a school and faculty, and they were like, we know so many things, and then we don't necessarily know how to get it from, this academic world into the general stream. And so that's where the artists came in. And I had a dinner, and they invited all of these faculty members in, and they said, which one do you want to work with? And I was like, they're all awesome. I'll work with everybody. Who wants to work with me? And
turn it around.
Yeah. They were amazing. I wanted to work with all of them. And I went home and I drew a picture because I just didn't really know what it would look like, but I drew a circle and I put these lines and I put issues that are in the book, and then I kind of surfaced them through the faculty of what might be issues through in that community. And then I'm still going back. And then I decided that the show would not be the point of its existence, but a path would be the point, and the show would be a belly button. It would be a place for us to gather. And
a belly button.
Yeah. But all of these things could happen walking into it, and it could continue walking out of it. And Parable of the Sower and Parable of the Talents surfaced so many issues that, in this country in particular, but on the planet, that literally you can do anything.
Yes.
You can gather around any issue. And that also I didn't have to be a center voice. Like I make it accessible, but I don't know these communities better than people who live in them.
That's right.
I don't understand them better. So I would be like, what do y'all want to do? And,
That's right.
And how do you want to do it? And I tried to be a good listener. And so now everywhere that we have done the opera, this process happens. I come into the community and I come back over and over again before the show happens, and then I come back after the show happens. And then here we have, this great residency that's funded. Arts Emerson has done an incredible job of helping to create a giant circle of people who will be engaging throughout the next year and a half and beyond. I don't really see an end, in collaboration with each other. But the cool thing is I will bring people from the other cities here to engage. And so the idea is to break the borders, to break this idea that I'm here and something happening over there is not affecting me here.
Right.
And to get everybody who has these skills, for example, like food justice warriors, they're everywhere, so bring them together, and then we all go out and do what we got to do. So that's it's bananas. It's not simple. It's bananas, but it's awesome. I love it.
I love it.
That's how we doing it.
That's how we doing it.
That's how we doing it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I feel like you are, I think of it dandelion style, right? Like dandelions contain an entire community structure inside of each little piece of them. So when a dandelion blows and it seeds somewhere, it's like a whole community is popping up here. It's not just me, one dandelion, right? And I feel like I'm looking at the communities you've been landing in now and seeing that. And it's beautiful to come behind you, right? So like, we did an emergent strategy immersion in Durham, and it was like you had created so much fertile ground of people who were thinking about apocalypse and as a place of possibility, and thinking about, sorry y'all, I'm recovering from an illness.
But is it though?
I hope I'm recovering.
Yeah, no.
Anyway, so the thing I was saying, we came into this space and all these folks had a sense of not just possibility, but also culture is not something outside of or sprinkled on top of how we do movement work, but it's actually like, a core function is what are the songs we're singing to each other? What is the harmonization? Like, what do we sound like? How do we feel together? So I'm grateful for how you're moving it. And we want to talk, one of the things we teased y'all with was talking about climate apocalypse. And
Teaser.
it's always fun. So, and one of the things I keep thinking about is how do we reframe our concept? Because I hear people say we need to save the planet. Like, how do we protect the planet? The planet's going to die. The planet's all this stuff. And I'm just like, I have a different frame on it, which I think is, is useful right now to think about how do we actually get ourselves in right relationship with this planet, which is very resilient and very strong and going to be fine after we go extinct, if that's what we choose to do. And right now, that's what we're choosing to do, right? To just be like, we are not being victims of this. It's like we're making choices every single day that propel us in that direction. And so as we think about like 2020 and the next decade to come and what we're creating in that time, I would love to hear, what do you think is the first move or sort of the first domino that we need to do in order to get ourselves back into right relationship or start moving back into right relationship with this planet and, not go extinct?
Yeah. I mean, we kind of, in Octavia's universe, we blow it.
Yeah, big
and
time.
we cease to exist on the earth. And I think part of our situation is that we are very much webbed in to practices based on, all these things that are harmful to live your life by. So just the whole, the isms, class, all of the fear of difference, and then the economy, no matter where you are on the spectrum. And we're not good at making fast, hard decisions. We make fast, hard decisions when the danger is right in front of us.
Right.
But from our wealth and privilege, it takes us much longer because we probably want to enjoy our wealth and privilege. So we're not buying anything for the holidays this year in my family. We're putting all our money towards, frontline activists and artists and institutions, and we're not buying anything. We don't need anything. We have everything. Everybody's voting in my family. We don't care if we love the person. We're all voting. We're voting as a strategy, and we're protecting young people who might choose not to vote.
Right.
And we're making sure the worst people aren't in power and that they can't do what they need to do. So I think we each have to figure out what's our hard turn from the norm we can make and then do it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. What about you, Autumn?
I love the framing of like what is the hard turn or the hard choice that we have to make that we usually only make when we're under direct threat. And I think about, and we've talked about this before on the show, that one of the effects of living under sustained, chronically violent conditions is entering a state of dissociation. And the way I think of it is like, we live in a police state, and regardless of whether you are directly targeted by the police, you still are living in the police state. And there's some part of you that's conscious of the fact that that is where you live. And that part of us tends to get shut down. And so we're moving through, we live in a very, very violent society, a society that's very comfortable with violence. And I think we all collectively navigate that with a lot of dissociation. And that, I think, is part of why it's hard for us to make those hard turns, because we're not accustomed to noticing when our threat response is awake and activated in our systems. And that threat response, all of the responses that our nervous systems have it's a very elegant design. It's very intelligent. It's there to serve us.
That's right.
And so to me, one of the things that I think about is recovering cultural practices and healing practices that help us get in touch with the information that's coursing through our bodies at all times, so that we can recover a sense of agency, so that we can make decisions that are actually in alignment with our highest good and our deepest values, so that we can even assess what our values are, right, that are helping us make decisions. Because right now, I think, particularly in social justice and movement spaces, lacking a way of being actually embodied with our values, we tend to default to, what's their ideology? What's their politic? What's their principles? And, are they actually, authentic or not,
Right.
And we lose sight of the fact that, from an embodied place, we do know that we are only going to go if we all go together.
Right.
There's no one who deserves to be left behind, and there's no one who deserves to go more, right? It's actually all of us. But I think we can only get there when we're here. We can't get there through an intellectual process.
I like that.
Thank you.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Can I just say one more thing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You could
it's-
say 20 more things if you
It's
want.
really hard. It's really hard work to do,
Yeah.
though. I should say, once I really started thinking, Toshi, your turn, I was outside in my neighborhood, and I realized how many people I didn't know. I was and my closest friends are blocks away from me. And I was like, oh, wow, I don't really know nobody right near me. There's been a lot of change in my neighborhood, so a lot of people have left. And I think it's very hard to, it's go meet your neighbors and start a dialogue. And
You go meet your neighbors.
and I'm kind of white people who put a $2 million house on my block, I don't want to know you.
Yes.
So it is hard work.
It's very hard.
It challenges a lot of your own. Can I say that word?
Shit.
Yeah, it challenges your own shit. Quite a lot.
Yeah, I feel like it's been interesting to think about, what are the moves we have to make, and what are the moves I have to make? And I always think about this. Grace Lee Boggs was one of my mentors, and she said that you had to transform ourselves to transform the world. And people love to say that. And
put it in their email.
They put it in their tagline,
What's it called?
meme, T-shirt, GIF. I know what you mean.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you mean. That thing at the bottom. I'm like, who does emails anymore, But I know Toshi and I trying to be in contact with each other is so funny, because you're like, can we do a phone call? I'm like, can we do a text? And you're like, a voice message. I'm like, okay. But I think about this piece, how do we relieve ourselves from this idea that we are better than, which almost all Americans have baked in a little bit. We are better than someone else. And so the fact that we were born in this country means we have the right to some existence that other people don't have a right to. And that when we travel, everything should be organized around how we are, and that all the resources of the universe should be organized around how we are.
And our
We're
predictable
actually
needs.
Talking with our father, he's reading this book, How to Hide an Empire, and it was really moving to me. I had to repost it. I was like, I want everyone to know about this, because I'm like, you don't realize that you are imperial. And so part of what I feel like, one of my big hard turns is to really seek out inside myself, what are the ways that I think I am better than anyone else, and more special than, more deserving than anyone else, and how easily that comes, right? That comes in. And for the past couple of years, with the books coming out and everything, I get treated in a very special way, like you are special, and
you are.
I know I'm awesome.
Yeah.
But it's not that kind of thing of like, no, you're not awesome, girl. It's like, it's not that. Because the idea is not, I have to shrink any part of myself. It's more, I have to recognize the equal humanity and specialness and beauty of each person. And I don't do that. Right now, I move through the world, and there's certain people who catch my eye. They're sparkly. They seem to be on the same ideological bent. And I'm like, you and I, we're better than.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so one of the ways I'm making that move is really trying to decentralize myself from the work that I've done in some ways, right? So it's very quickly become like, oh, emergent strategy, Adrian, boom, like that. And I'm like, no, like emergent strategy, like tons of people notice this. Tons of people observe and see this. Tons of people are already practicing this. I gave a language to something that tons of people are doing. And so how do I move myself out of the center of the narrative of how this gets done? Because the American way is to centralize myself, to brand myself into that narrative, to make it so you have to come to and through me to get it.
Trademark.
And exactly, right? And there's been so much, people telling me that's what to do. And now pleasure activism, same thing. Like, oh, girl, how are you going to grab it up, wrap it up? Don't let anyone else have some. Unless they can pay you for it, right, or whatever. And so trying to be like, no, I want to decentralize these ideas. Like, I want a future in which as many people as possible have access to the idea of themselves as nature, to the idea of right relationship to change, to the idea of pleasure. Like, I want that to be something as many people have as possible. So part of my scholarship over this next period is about that, is like not just thinking about like, well, how could I do that? But like, what are the steps I need to take to actually make that kind of thing happen? And then what are the hard skills I want to keep growing up alongside of my philosophical, theoretical skills?
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm like, I can think really good. Like, I'm really into my thinking process. But I can imagine, I think about that. I'm like, but do I know how to connect with my neighbors, right? And I know how to connect, again, like with 2 neighbors, right? And one of them is 3 years old. I'm like, we are good. Like, I really understand you. You only want to do 5-minute visits. That's perfect for me.
Auntie for the apocalypse.
I'm the auntie for the apocalypse. I am. But I don't know how to explain that to a stranger. Like, we just made on the road, and I'm trying to, they're trying to decide if, like, I'm worth adding to the caravan of survivors, right? I'm like, I'm really good with theoretical conversations. I can facilitate this meeting. I'm like, no, bitch. Like, can you help me deliver a baby? Can you, like, suture a wound? Stuff like that. So I feel like I'm really landing in, and I think everyone, I really feel like that's one thing that Octavia offered us, was like, what are the hard skills that go alongside of any other skills that you have? And do you know that now is the time? Now is the time to have those. And I'll say in the last 2 weeks of my life, I've had multiple experiences where suddenly something happened very quickly. And I was like, do I know the skill set I need to know if I have to save this person's life? Do I know the skill set I need to know if I need to intervene right now, the police are coming? And some of the stuff is like, yeah, I really do. I have some skills. And some of the stuff I was like, I do not, but I could. And I offer that to each of you to really think about that for yourself, not just yourself in the scale of like as a student or a part of something, but like as a human being. If the apocalypse happened on your walk home tonight and suddenly there were people that needed help, what can you do to help them, right? And I think we need to get very tangible about that, because this electoral process, I don't know. I prepare for the post-apocalyptic. Like, I'm like, I don't know if this electoral process is going to last too much longer. Like, I think if we have another Trump victory, I think the whole thing we just might go Puerto Rico on these people, just be like, no, right? Bomba riots in the street, we're done with this. So, and I'm excited about that. So, I do want to pull a card now for the coming decade. All right? So this will tell us kind of how to prepare for, what to be alert for. It's not a future, I always say don't try to use the tarot to predict things just for yourself.
Yeah. We use Octavia for that.
All right. You want to pick the card, Toshi?
Sure.
Use your left hand. Ooh, beautiful. All right, so before we got the 6 of Swords, now we got the Ace of Swords.
Wow.
That's amazing. So the Ace of Swords, the essence.
I literally just pulled this card like 3 nights ago.
You're literally the future.
Ah!
All right. A rush of clarity and inspiration comes with the beginning of this journey. You may feel as though your thoughts are racing constantly, the wheels are turning, and you've reached a revelation. This is just the beginning of a difficult path, though, and you'll need all your wits and reason about you to see it through.
Basically what you were just talking about.
Basically what we were just talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
All right,
Well, and
Tarot
actually,
be knowing.
I wanted to say, too, in relationship to what you were just talking about, and this card feels like a good one for that,
Yes.
that I think it's one of the other things that we're going to need in the time ahead of us is to stop thinking of organizing as something that certain people do.
Yes, that's right.
Because that is a hard skill. We think of it
Yes.
right now, I think we tend to think of it as a soft skill because there's like a whole professional sector that's like built up around people who get paid to organize.
Right.
And like, you know, I'm like grateful every day that there's like, that people can be paid to do that work.
Yeah, we need it full time.
And when I look at Octavia Butler's work, one of the things that, one of the patterns that you can see
Yeah.
in all of her works is the protagonist coming into an awareness of their innate capacity to organize other people.
Yes.
And to see skills and experiences and stories in other people that can be like called forth and organized into like an elegant
Yes.
set
Yeah.
that moves, that helps people actually move along in a process.
Yeah.
And that to me feels like one of the skills that, it's a skill that any of us can actually cultivate, the ability, and part of it is really just cultivating the ability to see other people, to like witness other people and their
Yeah.
gifts,
And
and then
listen.
invite those gifts.
Well, and that word invitation feels so crucial to me. Like, I feel like one of the most insidious ways that capitalism has infected our movement spaces is that it drives us to constantly be trying to exclude, to identify, like, here's how you are not me, here's how you are outside, here's how your analysis is not far enough, your feminism is not sharp enough, like, here's how you're not me. And we need to shift that whole mentality to invitation. Like, we don't have enough people. How do we see every single person as, how can you potentially be part of this liberation struggle?
Yeah.
And I think even I keep widening to, you know, it's not just organizers, but we need movement workers. We need lots and lots and lots of people who, from whatever position they are in the universe, see themselves as shapers of the future.
Yes.
And I think that Octavia, you know, like that was her thing, is I always think about that in Parable of the Talents after Acorn was destroyed, and where she's like, okay, I'm not giving up my vision, now I'm going door to door. And anyone who accepts my message, we will stay in the conversation and we will roll together. Right. And I notice, I'm like, oh, I'm not capable of that right now. Right now, I definitely move through the world and I'm like, you need to be black with like your hair shaved on the sides and like a certain like, you know, aesthetic. And then I'm like, okay, I can see the justice in you. You know? Right? And I'm trying to like, oh, how do I widen
I see the justice in you.
widen my peripheral vision again, you know? That I'm like, oh, there's so many people actually who care, right? How many of y'all would say like, I want to shape the future, right? So there's
like
not enough.
someone
I'm
in
like,
there
half
who's
of y'all, what the fuck? I don't know why y'all came out here tonight. Okay, but hopefully we open and invite more of you to feel that it's not that you choose to. You are definitely shaping the future. It's just, are you shaping it towards the same old familiar, or are you shaping it towards something new? I think that's the thing. And I think we need to be inviting more and more people to be like, we, through our practices, will shape something new. Let's do that intentionally.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, let me see if we have another thing here. Our agenda is on my phone.
We do. Well, and actually, it feels like,
Oh, and it's your turn.
I mean, it could be. It's my turn.
Girl, that was great.
Thank you. There is a musical being performed in the next theater over.
That's what's
so
happening.
I could just go over
It's
there.
just we're feeling all of that.
Exactly.
And there's a musical between us.
Well, I think in relationship to everything we've been talking about, there is this question of, well, what are the actual barriers to us being able to see our capacity to vision and shape the future with intention?
Yeah.
And Toshi, one of the other questions we were interested in asking you is your perspective on like what are the barriers that you see people still having around acknowledging and being like in the reality of climate apocalypse? Like, what do you feel like are people's barriers to acting?
I mean, I know my barriers are, I know what I know, and I want what I want, and I have to be taught like new things, and I have to want to learn new things, and I have to be aggressive because I have to pay attention that now people are ringing a bell really loud, and so now I'm like, oh wow, I actually hear it. And I just think a lot of us are inside of that process, trying to figure out like, am I going to hear this bell? Am I going to pretend like it's not ringing? And I think that's it. We're also like, yo, they got us. They got us.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to, divest from these systems because they are sending us. I mean, I love, gadgets.
Me too.
But they're being used so poorly and so violently that we have to each make decisions. Like, why are we just accepting everything that they give us? Or why are you tying your bank account to like 20 different apps? Like, why are you doing that? Why are you getting rid of cash? Why are you trusting these business people?
Right.
I mean, we need cash to run away.
That's right.
Why are you going to businesses that don't accept cash? Like all of that has to change. So
Why are you paying your taxes?
Yeah.
My
you don't want to go to jail. They got us on the taxes. It's not strategic at this point, but
It's
it will
not.
be.
I learned that.
Yeah. It will be.
Yes.
So I think that's what's happening.
Yeah. I also think there's something about scale, right? Like what we're up against is a system that's able to roll things out on a large scale, and so it feels kind of ubiquitous. It's like, oh, it's just everyone's doing this now. Like I remember having this month where I had been very staunchly like, I will not use the facial recognition thing on my phone, and I will never have Alexa in my house. And I went to all these I was going to visit different hardcore organizers or whatever, and they all had like Alexa in the house and all this stuff. And I was like, what? Are we doing this now? I mean, like, we don't mind, we don't care. And it was powerful to me to be like, oh, all of us are letting this slip in. But it's because the scale is so large. I think that's part of it. And then I think hopelessness. I think hopelessness is maybe the largest thing we're actually up against at this point. Because I think a lot of people now are like, I get it. I understand like that we're up against the end times. I understand that like white supremacy is there and patriarchy is there and like some of this stuff is coming down and whatever. I get that. But I also think that there's this deep hopelessness. People feel like there's nothing to be done. There's no way we can do it in time. We're too small, they're too big, all this stuff. And I feel like when I go to speak to college campuses like this, a lot of what I feel coming from young people is like a, let's just live it out kind of energy. And I keep thinking about the never-ending story and how it has shaped my whole politic. But that, if you haven't seen it, you must see this film. And
it can't be spoiled.
I don't think it can be spoiled, but it's just this film of how the nothingness, right? This nothingness, which is how, like when I think of capitalism, like the essence of capitalism, to me, it's like a nothingness that just spreads everywhere.
Yeah.
Where you're like purchasing and never satisfied. There's nothing that's actually touching you in your heart where it matters, and that you can spend your hours consuming nothingness, like consuming meaninglessness, consuming things that don't move you, like truly move you and change you and challenge you. And that we've structured our whole society, the sameness, that you can travel and be in Virginia or Georgia or Texas or all these different places and it looks the same more and more, like there's a landscape sameness that is spreading. Everywhere's a big box store and a strip mall and like to go to New Orleans or someplace that's still holding on tight to its identity, it's like, it's a revelation. You know, it's like a culture. That makes my heart beat. That makes me feel alive, you know? And so I'm like, I think part of our job, whether think of ourselves as organizers, movement workers, whatever, is to combat that hopelessness, that sameness, that nothingness, to remind people what it feels like to actually be alive and have intention and be able to move something from your agency, like move something from your mind, create something, and that we have it. We all start with that. You know, this is why I love kicking it with my 3-year-old friends, because I'm like, they're just like, I make the whole world. You are gonna get me a pancake. Like, I know this for sure. I'm in charge. And it's like, oh, right, that is so invigorating.
Yeah.
And to go to places, I just got to be in Puerto Rico last week, and to be in a space where everyone has told Puerto Rico, y'all don't matter. You don't matter to us. You have a hurricane and we'll leave you for months with no power. You don't matter. And to be amongst the people who are like, we do. And we are going to assert ourselves and we are going to uprise. And it's still, I mean, it was invigorating. I get chills every time I remember like what it felt like to be in that aliveness and being like, oh, how do we bring that back out to everyone and remind people like we are not gone. Chile, Puerto Rico, Lebanon, we are not done.
Right.
We are still rising up. It's happening here now every day. And I think there's no time to waste. You know, it's like, oh, bring it up at the dinner table. You know, aliveness. Like, fight with people if you need to. Disrupt the nothingness. Like, how do you get into people's awareness? Like, we're not done yet.
Yeah.
Don't give up, you know.
Beautiful.
You know, we've been doing these visionary fiction workshops through Octavia's Brood, and it's just incredible to see what happens when people ideate collectively, right? When they're like, oh, let me think of fiction together. Let's think of the news stories together. So that, to me, feels like, you know, I'm like, oh, I would love to be in more practices where people are not just in study groups and reading groups, but also creation groups, where they're like, we need to be creating the next story for our neighborhood, for our community, for our group. Like that it becomes a thing that you do when you get together with people and you're like, we want to do something together. Let's write the story. What is the story of how we're going to be? What are the successes of this story? What are the love stories in this story? We are stories. Like humans are stories, walking stories. We are the stories we're telling about our past and the stories we're telling about our future. And we just get stuck in such small, narrow loops of stories that are acceptable. And then that's what our lives become. And that's what our collective lives become. And I'm really excited to be a channeler of future collective stories.
That's awesome. I can't catch no man hanging out at the discotheque. I believe in the boogie, but the boogie don't believe in me. Well, I got my way of moving, just sitting down here in my seat. I get soul satisfaction without jumping up and moving my feet. You know this song?
I don't, but I'm learning it now.
I'm writing a disco show.
Oh. Yes, Lord.
With my friend and musical collaborator Juliet Jones.
Oh my God.
And disco as a congregational movement that is inclusive of so many things, and had to be literally blown up at a baseball field because it was so powerful.
Yes.
And white people got scared of it, even as white people participated in it.
Right.
So I was
they're like, I can't.
If you like, you know, I just started researching and I was like, this is a global phenomena that got people to listen to all kinds of music in all kinds of languages, go to places together and dance, learn dances, also got people like to house huge spaces where people could come together.
Yes.
And then change the entire music industry where, you know, Kiss had to make a disco song, Rolling Stones had to make a disco song, you know, Rod Stewart had to make a disco song.
Once it hits Rod Stewart, it's like...
You know, it's bananas. And it broke the lie of who is powerful, a powerful voice in music. And then they destroyed it, and then they built back up the castle until SoundScan happened, which actually made you scan the actual sale of records as opposed to what record companies were shifting. And that week that it changed, the top 100 completely changed. And it was like all of these rappers and all of these stuff, and Rod Stewart and them was like down in the 50s, where they have always been. Except for like, you know, maybe their first iconic eras in the 60s and early, you know.
The iconic phase.
Yeah, but they lied about everything, and lying about who is the dominant voices in art is violence against the people.
That's right.
And it leads to political unrest. And disco transformed and shook that up for a period of time. And it literally, disco records got blown up at a doubleheader at a baseball game in Chicago. And there's like, you asked Nile Rodgers, and he was like, the next day, people stopped booking his band.
That's right.
So I'm doing a disco show because I'm like,
that's amazing.
And I'm gonna have an orchestra, and I'm gonna have like dancers.
I see
and
it.
then I'm gonna have a silent disco in the lobby before the show starts. And then you're gonna learn a dance out there that you will do at some point.
Oh my God, that's so amazing!
And I'm gonna have like DJs. I'm gonna have all kinds of things.
Yes.
Maybe,
I love you so much.
Maybe we'll workshop in here, David.
Where are you, David?
Yes.
I also want to say that Autumn is dressed for the role.
She's
if you
already
have
got
any
the
lead for a disco dancer or anything like that.
We're gonna have a lot of fun and dance and move together and tell the truth about who we are and how we exist on this planet. And again, do some stealing. So
reclaim it.
that's what I'm writing.
I love that.
Yeah, we should do a workshop.
I'm already. I'm like, girl, we are doing the workshop already.
Right.
Yes.
So
I just want to know, how deep is your love? Is your love? How deep is your love? I really need to know, 'cause we're living in a world of fools, breaking us down when they all should let us be. We belong to you and me. Da, 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 da. That counts as just, it's like in the era.
I mean, it's
like
on a.
in the sort of. I'm auditioning for your show.
That was such a beautiful moment.
Roll up the audition, please.
Beautiful moment.
So I know that we've reached time. I want to say you're the best ever.
You are the best. I'm a devotee.
And we
of
are
Toshi.
devotees of you. And also, thank y'all so much for really honoring the question part of the Q&A. Like, y'all came through with those
Excellent questions. Ask us questions.
Thank you so much to Emerson, to Mia. Thank you for insisting upon having us here. Thank you, David. Thank you, everyone,
Akiba,
for showing up in the snow. We are so grateful. We can't believe that this continues to be something we get to do and people invite us to do because we're having a blast and it's so great.
Thank you, Skin Tones.
Skin Tones. Y'all were everything. Yes. And we love y'all.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Good night.
Night.